All right, it is day 2, part 2 of my new smoker. So what I've already done so far is I got all the supplies out here that I'm going to need to get this fired up. I moved it to a spot slightly to the left of it. I have like a concrete disc that I put it on just to make it less likely that something's going to catch on fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the instructions to the T, sort of. And we're going to get this smoker fired up. So let's go. So I have kind of two different types of fuel I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using the charcoal briquettes, and I've also got some aged whiskey barrel wood that I'm going to be putting down in there, just to kind of mess with my taste. I could fill it up with about up to 8 pounds of charcoal, and it wants me to stack the briquettes at a pyramid. I'm not going to go the full 8 pounds. I don't think I'm going to need that. I'm only going to do probably about half that amount. And so now that the charcoal's in there and lit, it'll take about 15 minutes for the flame to die out and ash over. Okay, so I've got my smoker preheated to about 200 degrees. It's still heating up. But what I'm going to go ahead and do, because I want to get this done while I've still got some daylight, I'm going to go ahead and throw my meat on. And I'm just going to let it cook until it hits the temperature I want. Okay, it's been probably an hour and a half, close to 2 hours. Let's take the temperature of my meat and see what happens. Okay, it's 136 degrees. Let's look up on our phones and see if that's acceptable. Okay, so according to this, steak, chops, and roasts need to be cooked to 145 degrees. So I'm gonna leave it on the smoker for a little bit longer. Okay, it's been a couple of hours. Okay, I've had the meat in here all day, really. So let's give it a check. Okay, it looks like the meat's done, so I'm gonna pull it off, take it inside, and we're gonna try it out. Okay. This thing's falling apart. Just look at that. That is beautifully cooked piece of meat. Okay, now for the taste test. Oh my god, that is a good piece of meat. Little chewy, but it's the cut and not the cook. So I'll call that one a win. So let's go back outside. We'll talk about what I like about the grill, what I dislike about the grill, and we'll go from there. Okay, that was a pretty good piece of meat. So, final thoughts on this smoker. And I think I'll rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. Keep in mind, I'm a novice smoker, so grain of salt. I think if I were to rate this, it would definitely be, for the fact that it's entry level, it's like my first smoker ever, I'd say 4 out of 5 solid. And the reason I'm not giving it a 5 out of 5 in terms of rating is my experience on it wasn't great. So, a couple of things that I absolutely dislike about it. Maybe that's all smokers, maybe it's just this smoker. If you put too little fuel in there, it's really difficult while you're smoking to go in and top it up, because you're supposed to have the grate above the charcoal. Now I ended up not using that grate, so I think for future smoking attempts when I'm using the top rack, I'm not going to put that grate in, so it's easier for me to load extra fuel. I also found that because it is pretty open, I mean it's really just a It's really just a sheet metal barrel with some inserts. So that let a lot of the heat leak out, which I didn't like, which required me to use more fuel. I got about, I'd say, halfway into the smoking, and I ended up having to pull the meat out, my water bowl out, had to pull the grates out, and I had to put some more charcoal down there because the stuff I'd already put in had basically burnt down so much to where it wasn't putting out that heat anymore. So I didn't really like that. But let's talk about what I did like. All in all, ease of assembly, A+. I thought it was very easy to assemble. It really only took me about a half an hour to put together. Ease of operation, I mean, it's pretty stupid proof. You put your charcoal in the bottom, you put your water bowl in, you put your grate over that, and you drop your slab of meat, and you periodically check it. So, ease of use, absolutely. Budget, let's talk money. I bought this yesterday, and it cost me 70 bucks, I think, maybe 65. So in terms of price to entry, I want to call that a very positive experience. For $65, I got to dabble in meat smoking, and that made one of the best pieces of meat that I've ever made in my life. So can't go wrong there. What I am going to have to do is I'm going to experiment a little bit over time with different fuel sources. This says it's charcoal, but I think I could get away with something else. So we'll have to see on that. But overall, would I recommend buying this smoker if you've never had a smoker before? Absolutely. Absolutely buy this. It's only 60 bucks. You really have nothing to lose. And worst case scenario, you could treat it as like a campfire grill. I could see where you might even be able to take the legs off of it and just treat it as like a micro burn barrel. But for the amount of money you put in, I don't know if that would be smart. So I guess we'll see. But all in all, again, I would recommend it. So if you found this helpful, do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm attempting to grow my channel every day. Trying to expand my content a little bit. So if you like me talking about stuff I buy, you hitting subscribe and liking my videos, best way for me to know it. In the meantime, I know I said it in video 1. I want to do the call to action again. In the comments below, guys, tell me some of your favorite things to smoke. And maybe drop some recipes. I'm a novice after all. Just saying. Otherwise, have a good night, guys.